better than me. Okay, so we're gonna work on a couple little trophies and ribbons. I didn't really feel like doing any games today, so I wanted to get this done. So we're gonna focus on this. I'm gonna try and see if I can get this. Move my stuff in a position I can see everything. Hi Ruth, I'm glad you live. Let's see here. So these sketches are extremely rough. We're not going to be doing most of the art on this because what I'm kind of thinking is for the stuff that is the actual horse figures, we'll probably just make those be... where's my ribbon stuff? The actual horse figure ones will probably just be... I just hate when this stuff is like behind the grid. There we go. These horse figures, these are just rough ideas. These would probably be like low poly versions of a horse model, and I don't have one yet, so we're not gonna do that. We're just gonna focus on like these little smaller versions, and we're gonna focus on the ribbons, which, fun fact, the ribbons should be pretty stinking easy, because these guys are mostly gonna be made out of textures. So the idea is like there'll be like a base version of the ribbon with like the little ribbons coming off of it, and then a lot of these like circles and stuff that I have here, all of these are just going to be mostly textures on like a flat circle, so it'll look like it's made out of all these little bits and pieces, but it's actually not. So we're probably only gonna need a couple if I do actually keep all of these, and then the rest of it's gonna be made out of textures. So it's still not high enough. Okay. Yeah, because like my personal volume is up all the way. Like this is as high as it's gonna go. Should I move the mic closer? No, that doesn't make a difference. I can't turn the volume down on the music too far because otherwise it's not gonna play, so. It looks very quiet now, but I suppose I'm pretty quiet too. Twitch also is horrendously quiet all the time, so. These smaller ribbons, I don't know if these are things I'll actually use, but I decided to make them just as possible, like, you know, small objects just for fun. Doesn't really matter if they don't get used. So, without further ado, let's get started. Works better with the music. Okay, that's good. Yeah, it's really hard to figure out the music because it's like I adjust my volume on my, like I'm playing it off of YouTube and I adjust that volume constantly for like listening to my own stuff. So it's hard to tell where it's at like a good point. So very, very plain and simple for this first one here. The rest of these guys are mostly... Now this is technically where I should probably move this thing back. Because I'm not going to be able to... Yeah, I'm not going to see anything. Yeah, it's really hard to judge it. And then it's like the music will get so soft that you can't even hear it. Like it is like chill beats. I'm trying to see. Like I still want it to pick up, but I don't want it to override my voice. But for some reason it looks like my voice is even softer the normal, and it's at max volume, so I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to turn the normal volume down too much, though. Anyways, so I'm thinking is we're gonna use the same size for these two, and then the big fat ribbons will be their own size. Wait, let's go ahead and adjust this, because it does not need to be 20. Let's probably just make this like 12 or something, so it's not like this insane number. This also needs to be nice and thin. And then from here, we can just reuse this guy, because we can just delete the top off of it. Just do a little something, something like that. And then spread this out. And then make a version that just kind of sits mostly straight. There we go. And then that just sits on the inside. I'm trying not to make these too high poly because it's like I don't need them to be extremely detailed, but I don't want them to look too crunchy either. So I think this will be fine. If I ever want to like animate it, I can always make like a higher definition version of whichever one I want, so. Alrighty, so let's make another one of these for the bigger ones. So I think most of these guys can use the same model, and this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Spread this out and then make these a little thicker. Now typically this front one though should stick out on top of the other two, so we want to make sure it's going to be able to do that. Of course this thing is like absolutely massive. Oh, yeah, no worries. That's fair. Good luck. Okay. So there's the first version of this. And then we'll make a smaller circle for the center kind of button shape. And that doesn't need a back on it. I don't know if any of this stuff needs a back to it, to be honest, but just in case, you never know. Maybe if it's like hanging off a bridle, it'd look weird if you don't put a back on it. Okay, so there's the center button part. Now, I could just leave it at that, but my thought process is make it easy to have it feel like a little bit more three-dimensional by basically giving it a second layer here. So I'm actually going to take this guy and size this down about where I want it. What I might actually do is duplicate this guy and then do that instead. And then go back into perspective view so we can see this, and then drag this forward. But then what we want to do here basically want to delete the back side of that. Okay. So with this, that means that we can still have stuff that looks like these different shapes. They're just on the second layer, and then we have the top layer here. So this works for this guy. Works for this guy. This one, I think it could still work for that. Okay, so these two get a little bit interesting. For this one to work, you would technically need this smaller inside space. And that works for this one too. You could just put these guys looking like they're layered on top of each other. Which also kind of works for this first one I made. This one's a lot closer to that. So that works for this. Could work for this one too. Now when you start having it go outside of the original shape though, that's where it gets a little troublesome. I can always adjust these once I start texturing too. I think this one works fine too. You could actually like just have that section turned off. Now for this though, this one, because it's so much bigger, would kind of need it to be shaped like this, and then... Ooh, wait, did I do... do that, do it like this, and then this one, shape this out like so. That's kind of a unique setup there for that one. I don't know if it's worth it. This one kind of works the same as some of these other ones. I don't know how many of these actual ribbons I would want to make, because realistically all you have to do is just use like a pretty flat mesh, and this is a little more detailed than need be, but I think it looks nice though too. Did I? Shit, I left the... delete the faces off the top of these guys. Oh no, wait, no. I think I did. Yeah, okay, I did. Yeah, these guys don't have the faces on top, so that's at least one less thing to worry about on them. Okay. So that kind of simplifies the ribbons down into just mostly textures. And then for this guy, so we're gonna put you back to probably 0. So for this one, what we're looking at here is mostly rectangles. This can go by a lot faster than I was expecting. I didn't think it was going to take me that long, but wow, this is a lot shorter than I thought it would be. And then just pull this in, tug it down a little. Recenter this. We have a couple other models we can work on though. I got some other MISC stuff I can do that I've been wanting to. So, no biggie. I think that works. And we can delete the bottom face off of this too because it's unnecessary. Okay. And then cylinders. Can I? Okay. I'm like, can I go into front view, please? Oh shoot. My cylinder is gonna be facing the wrong way. What the hell? Okay, so we need to make a cylinder like so. Go back into front view. Again, we're gonna reduce this guy down to like 12, because 12 still gives you a nice round shape without being excessive. I could probably do less. Damn it, did I? I want these guys as close to the center as possible. There we are. And then duplicate this over to this one. I'm gonna be a mild perfectionist. And try and get this thing to be like equal on all sides. Probably fine. And then we'll make another box here, which means I can actually delete. Oh no, wait, let's keep one of these guys and then I can delete the top off of these two because they'll be hidden. I think that can work. And we'd have like the little engraving on the front, which I can make like a tiny box for. And then the top of those two would have something like these featured. Hold on, guys. I gotta hop over to the bathroom. So we will be right back. Alrighty, we're back. Yeah, I just had to go to the bathroom real bad. Okay. Back into... Oh wait, you're in front of me already? Okay, cool. Try and make this cup one. Thank you, Ruth. No, don't do that. Okay, now this is gonna be the tricky part because the rest of this is kind of a cylinder. Oh my god, that's not what I wanted. I'm just gonna bump it down to 16 to start with. Stop it. So I'm debating how detailed I want to get with this. Because the thing is, it's like, I don't want to make it too high poly because it's just a trophy. It's not meant to be like the fanciest shit ever. Maybe I will set it back down to 12 like the rest of the stuff I'm messing with. It's a little bit easier to manage. And then we'll go start editing from here. So basically, what I want it to do is I want it to end up here eventually. And my thought process is, let's just edge loop it to death and we'll go from there. Edge loops are my best friend. I could do this with oh, whatchamacallit? Curbs. I could do NURBS curbs, but I don't really feel like messing with those again. Those were a little bit of a nuisance for me. I need to go in perspective to do this. Immediately, it's not turning out exactly the way I was hoping it was going to, because I did that wrong. Okay, how much of this? I think it's the... Is it just this top half that's... No, I think the whole thing is. Is the whole thing? Bottom half looks okay. Who did I mess up on? Okay, hold on. We're getting rid of this entire top half because I gotta figure out who's the skinny part that's not supposed to be skinny. This part got skinny. I messed up something somewhere. That doesn't look round. That still looks relatively round, so we'll start from there. You have to be so careful with how you're editing things because what ends up happening is like you'll be like, oh, I just need to pull it in like this, you know, like I just need to pull it in like that, and then you go back in perspective view and it looks like this. Now see, if I was a smart artist, I would I would have another like panel open like on my other monitor, but I got enough shit open, I don't feel like it. So anyways, we're just gonna suffer. That's how art works, right? Edge loop to death. Ah yes, the newest humane form of execution. Oh my god, Ruth. Anyways, we're gonna try this again. I'm gonna try and be a little bit more careful about this. Oh, I guess I didn't remember that I did this last. I did something else I'm not thinking of. So yeah, you have to be careful because my instinct is to hit this red one, but that's not actually what I want. What I want is the whole thing to move in the same way. And we go back into perspective and see now it's staying circular like I wanted. Something is like, is it me changing my camera view? That has to be it. Because if I hit, yeah, I guess my camera view, that's annoying. I guess changing my camera view counts as a repeatable action, even though it wouldn't make any sense to do that. It's annoying. Oh well. As long as we keep approaching it like this, we should be fine. There we go. Now I don't know if I need this to be like actually cup looking, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna make a very quick interior to it. Just in case it does need to look like a cup from the outside. It does not need to be special though. It just needs to be good enough. There we go. That looks like a cup. Okay. So, with like coming up with the concept on this, I specifically did not want to do something that looked too close to like the Kentucky Derby Cup or somebody else's cup. I wanted something that felt like I came up with it myself. But I did look at the Kentucky Derby Cup for inspiration. It is so pretty, by the way. If you've never seen it, I recommend looking it up. I don't know how much they've changed it from year to year, but I watched the 150th one last year, and they had like the roses on the little miniature horse and rider made out of gemstones, and I was just blown away. I'm like, oh my fucking gosh, how much does that gotta cost? Especially depending on what kind of gems they use, because it's like, if it's like rubies or sapphires, probably a little bit on the cheaper side. If it's something bigger than that though, or not bigger, but like more expensive than that, like, oh boy, I wonder. You know? So, I didn't look into the details of it, but it was very, very pretty. It looks like a cup. Insert the voice from Night in Indiana Jones. You've chosen wisely. I'm glad. I'm glad I've chosen wisely. Okay. Alrighty. I'm actually just gonna cheat this. We're gonna duplicate everything I just did here to make a matching top to this thing. And then we're just gonna remove anything on the inside, because we don't need it. Probably could delete these faces too, and then just go from there. So We basically want something that feels like it's gonna fit, and what fits better than just duplicating the top of the cup, am I right? So I'm gonna pull... I'm actually just gonna... I'm gonna straight up just pull it in like this, just to get us started. And then do something like this. Now, one thing I'm not certain about is how stuff's gonna look when it's on top of these things. And maybe I'll just leave that there like so. There we go. We'll have to figure that out. Like how the little ornaments rest on top. I'm not entirely sure how I want to handle that yet. I think this works okay though for a cup top. And if I want to be a little more specific, what we can do is we can throw down something like this and then just drag, oops, drag the center up so it kind of actually looks like it's meant to, you know, sort of sit on there. Does it look okay? Gonna split this a little bit just so this edge doesn't look so ridiculous. Good enough. I'm trying to make it like perfect. It really does not need to be perfect, I swear. Like, you probably won't even need to ever see the inside of that, so I'll probably have to simplify it later anyways. Okay. That made that a little bit easier than I expected. Now this would be much easier with edge loops, but also edge loops are kind of a pain anyways, so we're gonna not. I just don't feel like dealing with edge loops. Okay, this one, bump it down to, you know what, we can probably get away with 8 instead. It's just a handle. Nobody's gonna give that much of a shit. I'm the only one who gives a shit. Okay. So we're gonna set this guy in here. I'm gonna go ahead and throw some edge loops on you. And then we're gonna do something crazy. We're gonna just literally flip this guy around. I'm gonna delete the top faces off of it. Extend. Now this is where it gets a little weird. I'm probably doing this like the worst way possible. But we'll see. Because again, this is where edge loops can really help save your butt and make it a lot less weird. So I'm just gonna kind of see where this ends up. And if it looks awful, we'll redo it. Because sometimes when you add edge loops in the middle of this junk, it just does not like it and it looks really bad. So we're just gonna feel it out. If it looks awful, scrap it. Could be worse. Definitely could be worse. this part here is kind of the most annoying bit, to be honest. Ooh, you know what I could do here? It'd probably be easier to just put literally a sphere right here. Like, just make it some small amount. And that'll probably be better looking in the end anyways. Just tug both of these guys in deeper into the trophy, and then just make sure perspective view this thing is able to cover the whole thing. Yeah, that already looks a little better, honestly. Okay, could be worse, again. Could be worse. I always like it when it could be worse, because that means I did okay. Trying to make this feel slightly less awkward. I think that's good enough. That's okay. Okay. Let's just casually combine these two and then duplicate them. Yeah, you know what? I think that's okay. I think that looks alright. Now I need this thing to actually look like it fits. A little hard to see. To quote the motto of the great north of the border, it's not just good, it's good enough. Yeah. Ruth, you're full of so many quotes today. We can delete these bottom faces because we won't need them. Same thing for the bottom face of this. That can also get removed. Everybody else should be fine to be as it is. Oh, any inside faces on these guys can also be removed. Combine all of this stuff together so it's one singular shape. That should be pretty much fine, I think. Do we have... Yeah, I think I deleted that. Okay. I'm in the zone. Okay. Well, you know what? That doesn't look too terrible. I'm having a hard time though telling if this thing is equal. Can't see through all this shit. That's probably good enough. Steal one of these little plaques too. There we go. Ain't that looking like an actual trophy? Pretty happy with that. Group all that stuff together. Make sure the history's deleted. Make a second version of that. This one can go under here. This one can come over here with these guys. Sized up. Supposed to be, yeah, about roughly there. That's about right. Good enough. So there we go. Another trophy. Now this one was kind of a custom design shape thing, based off of some trophies I was seeing that I thought looked kind of cool. I don't know if I want to model it. It was a weird shape, but I did put it down as an idea. So, okay. So you have a couple very basic ribbons, like little baby ribbons. We got the big ribbons that are supposed to be like the show ribbons, and then these guys can be changed and customized with textures. What I'm expecting is most likely this one with the 3 layers is the more likely one to get used, but I have a couple other options in case I want to do something fancy or unique. We have the 3-tier trophies and then a cup trophy, which I think could be fun. So that should give us a few options, and then all of these bases, like for the, or not the bases, the actual like toppers on the trophies, I think I'm gonna leave those for later when I have an actual horse model to mess with, because then I can just see about like maybe reducing the polys on the horse model, put it into different poses with different tack and a rider and stuff too. I think that'll be a little bit easier than trying to model right now horses in like each of these positions. So that's the idea. And of course there's also like a circle version. I was seeing some cool ones that kind of had like this medallion look where it was like just a circle with like a horse head or whatever on it, horseshoe, etc. And I thought that at the top of a trophy could also look nice. So that is for later to mess with. But here's a good start. And then we need to label our stuff, so these guys need to get combined. I think I'm just gonna merge all this together and then, ooh, I almost forgot. Let's make sure, well, before we merge you, undo that, undo. Let's make sure one of these is on top of the other. I think usually this one's on top. And then combine you. So yeah, proven basic doubles, single double, there we go. And then combine these guys. Okay. I think there's a rather unique trophy from a horse in the gray flannel suit as well. It's basically a hollowed out triangle prism standing on its point. It might have been a true upside down pyramid, but I'm pretty sure it only had 3 sides instead of 4. Interesting. Yeah, this design, I think I pulled this from a mixture of 2 trophies I saw online. One of them was a race trophy, like a flat race trophy, like obviously not the Kentucky Derby, but some other kind of flat racing. And I think a soccer trophy I saw, I want to say. But I really like the look of them. I think I'll just refer to these guys by number. Just because they don't have any super distinguishing features, it's just, you know, slightly different setup with the ribbons. So we'll just call them like this, and I think that'll be fine. We're just gonna call this the junk group. Oops, forgot the P. I like sometimes keeping stuff the way I originally modeled it, especially with these sorts of things. Just in case I make edits to it and I want to go back to the way it originally was, it's a little bit easier to sometimes just keep that in the back. Like so. Okay, each of these guys are going to get combined with their respective stuff. So we're going to go with Trophy Tier 1. Trophy Tier 2, Trophy Tier 3. Now this one's a little more complicated because I don't know how much of this I want to merge together into one shape. Oops. I think I might actually leave this one separated, unlike the others. We're gonna call it Trophy Tier 4, but then we're gonna also put cup, I don't know, I guess cup body, cup lid, and cup base. Just so stuff is at least labeled in some fashion. I don't know if I need to keep these guys where they are. I don't think so. I think they're fine. Trophies, ribbons, junk. Is that empty? I think that is, yeah. Okay. Then we'll put the image planes under their own thing. And then these guys can get scooted a little closer together. There we go. So there's all of the trophies, and then there would be toppers for each of the trophies. I just don't have that yet. Okay, so thank you, Ruth. I think what we'll do is we're gonna make a new scene because we do have quite a bit of time still. I would like to try and get at least an hour and a half, if not like at least 2 hours in. So what I'm thinking is we do maybe the fences, since those are pretty simple. I'm just gonna do the BRB screen while I get stuff set up really quick here. This will just take me a minute to move things around. And I should probably... I should probably put my ribbons and trophy art somewhere I can find it, not in my downloads folder, because that's a silly place to keep it, of course. Ooh, you know what? Do I want to load that from there? I should probably move that actually. I want to save this under here. Just realized I immediately just disconnected my ribbons and trophies thing, but oh well. Let's do this instead. Sometimes Maya can be very smart and be like, oh, yes, your stuff is like located here, so I'm gonna fill in the blanks and load the rest of the things I just found here. And other times, like with the, image planes and stuff, it's gonna play really dumb and it's gonna be like, I don't know where this could possibly be, even though you just loaded it. It's like, Maya, please. Please. Okay. We're gonna get the fencing stuff up. Like I said, these guys should be pretty simple, but we'll see. Another thing that drives me nuts is it always like, nope, that's not what I wanted. It always like defaults to the same location when you try to do importing images, and it annoys the crap out of me. Okay, I think we are good. So I brought a couple references I made within Illustrator. I did these guys just with basic shapes just to figure out what I wanted to focus on for potential fences to make. So I had a whole bunch of stuff I was messing with in here. We're gonna use this one for the gates, but these are the general fences I'm looking at. So we have a very standard X-cross fence. I decided to try out making a 2-bar with thick bars fence just to see how it looks. And then we have a more traditional 3- and 4-bar fence or slat, whatever you want to call it. And then we have like this sort of single diagonal one in 2 different directions. So this one's basically just going to get flipped around. That's it. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Okay. So then, what we're gonna do, I might have to edit things later on because I'm not doing things with a specific size in mind just yet. So we're gonna do something like this, and then I can sort out sizing later. Okay. No, don't do that. Come on. Okay. Pull this one up here. That's not bad. I don't know if it's actually going to duplicate it the way I want it to anyways. Okay, so we just need to have this rotate the other way. Yeah, that works fine. Okay. Go back into perspective view. Turn this on. So what we want... Probably be easier if these guys are just a touch thicker than the other two boards. Just because they're meant to be on the top. I think I was debating back and forth between how realistic I want to make the fences look, because it's like, I think technically speaking, you know, there's a certain way that you cut the boards and attach them and everything, but also at the same time, it's a fucking video game and who cares, you know? So, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start off with just doing it like this, because this seems like a simpler solution to me. I don't want to go overboard with the first version I make, so I think that's okay. And then we're gonna group these guys up and then duplicate them over. So actually I'll do... one per. And pull this down. These two are very simple to do. Because technically, boom, boom, or no wait, boom, there we go. Just reversed of that one, so now I just have to deal with these two, or these three. So we put another slat in the middle here, and pull this one up just a touch. Same deal here. Now this one's a little different because this one uses thicker boards. I don't know how realistic this is, but I just wanted to test it for like style purposes. Just to see how it feels. So there we go. First set of fencing. I don't think that looks too bad. I might change how I approach this one here just because I don't know if I like the way that this is. It might look fine in game though, so I wouldn't have to worry about it if that's the case. Obviously when I zoom out in Maya you can start seeing like the lines come through, but that's also just kind of a Maya thing. I think it's fine if you render it. I haven't done a whole lot of rendering to be honest. At least not... I have done rendering recently, but not a lot of it. Anyways, so let's go back into front view, because now with these guys here, let's put this back to 0. With these guys, if we're gonna figure out the gates, we want the gates to match up size-wise. So... it's getting pretty close. There we go. So these were some designs I saw for like pretty typical looking gates. These top two are probably kind of more the metal style gates. These ones could be technically metal or wood, but I'm leaning more towards the bottom three being wood. So what we can do is we can basically take all the fences we just made. I'll just take the groups, duplicate these guys, pull them back over. And we'll go ahead and also... we'll grab these groups and call them the fences group. So that they have their own thing going on. Okay, this one... so what we're going to do is we're going to start with putting down the original fence posts like so, but then these guys will need... these guys will need to get shrunk. Oh, whoops. Okay, now we group them, center, and then resize a little. That works pretty good. Let me just duplicate, pull this back over. We want these guys to be pretty close to each other because it's intended to be a gate that can just close. So something like this. Now, one thing I'm worried about though is how this would play out in a game and if there would be issues with it lining up fencing wise, because I don't know how that's gonna work. So likely gonna be stuck having to make edits to these guys eventually, but I think this is a good starting point at least. That over a little bit. Okay, this group we don't need. These two are both 4 slats. So we're gonna get rid of that. Pull this down. Okay. we go. That technically gets the job done. I might make this a tiny bit thinner though. And same deal here. Pull this back in a little. This would be where, like, obviously hinges would come into play. I'm not gonna mess with hinges right now. I just don't feel like it. I don't know how realistic I want stuff to get. I think it could be cool for, like, a portfolio project, but, like, gameplay-wise, I mean, I don't really need hinges. So we'll see. Same deal with some other stuff in here. Like, I would like something that is, like, kind of looks like a locking mechanism for the gate of some sort. That would be nice to have. So that's another thing I'm going to consider in the future, but I'm not going to stress myself about it right now. I got a gate. I have a working gate. Like, that's really the important part here. So this one's pretty simple. Actually, probably delete these two because we don't really need them. Okay, now these two are meant to be like one big fat gate, whereas these two are meant to be, you know, smaller gates, obviously. So different deal going on here. This is also meant to be, these two top ones are also meant to be like metal gates too. It's indeed possible to get second in the Pony Champ while on a level 2 Gen 2 Halflinger. I've acquired all the seconds. Nice. Congrats. I think that technically works. I just need to make sure, especially with this top one, everybody is where I expect them to be. That looks fine. So make that tiny touch smaller. That looks okay. Okay, now for the most, like, pretty much iconic standard looking pasture gate, but also the one that I'm like the most about trying to make. I think what I might do is I might actually make a quick cylinder here. We're gonna make a very thin, simple cylinder for this because it's a fucking pasture gate. Nobody gives a shit if it's like 4 polygons wide or whatever. So just gonna get this relatively where I want it. Okay, let's just try 6. I don't think we need more than that. We could probably do with even less. 6 looks okay. Let's go 6. So that gets us a nice starting thing. Duplicate this guy, spin him around. Now, it's the sides that are gonna be where it like curves, that's the problem for me. Because again, that's typically where using nerves curves would probably be a smarter idea, but I'm being stubborn because I don't feel like it. I could redo this later with nerves curves if I want to. Just don't want to right this minute. This is gonna take me time to sort it out. And they were actually kind of awkward to use when I did use them because they didn't like behaving normally at first, which was a little tiny bit annoying, admittedly. What I might actually do, you know what, actually, yeah. Let's just do one side and then duplicate it. That makes a lot more sense, actually. So what we'll do is we're gonna do something a little bit like this. Ooh. What the fuck? Oh, I did that wrong. I hit the wrong thing, I think. So we want something that works a little bit like this. Just a very rough swap. There we go. And then we can merge these two into the same shape. Take these vertices. Oops. Damn it. Nope. There we go. Do it like that. Yep, it's recognizing it, so we're good. Same here. Make sure. Yep. Everybody looks to be behaving correctly, so that should be fine. And so all that means I need to do is, of course, just tug these guys in here. Delete that, and then we'll duplicate this guy. So it will be on the opposite side. Like so. Combine these two. Oh, did she not really combine properly? What'd you do? Oh, it has like a thing. The fuck? Why you got a thing in the middle? There we go. That should fix your weird thing. Good enough. Works for me. One of the things I do want to eventually do is probably like metal fencing for like a round pen, but I'm not super keen on doing that immediately, so that is a potential future thing to do, but for now, I think we're pretty much good. So, alrighty, let's turn that off. Let's throw the references under their own little thing. There we go. Now we got our gates. So these guys can all get merged down. I think these guys are relatively good to get merged together. And then don't know how much I want to merge the rest of it. This one is meant to be one solid object, so I'm cool with merging these for now. They're not hard to remake anyways. The rest of it I might leave alone just because they are a little bit more finicky, I suppose. Delete all that extra history that we don't need anymore. Okay, so that's the fences group. Oops. How many of these? We got 3 of them, right? 3. 2. 1. There we go. Okay. Ah, that works okay. That's something. Hopefully this isn't too many. I might have to reduce this even further, but I mean, it still looks rounded this way. I think it's fine. I could just make it like much more simple if I wanted to, but I'm pretty happy with it, so. Okay. Well, I think that's fine. I think I'll end stream there just because that's 2 sets of models I wanted to get done. I don't know how streaming is going to work out for the rest of the month. I do want to do more with Slime Rancher before I move on to the next game, whichever that will be. Things are a little bit kind of in a weird spot, especially because with work, busy. We had a 48 last week, which sucked. And then this week's going to be a little bit stressful for me too. I'm going to be having a lot of stuff on my shoulders, so we shall see. But I wanted to make sure to get this done before end of the month, so I'm glad to pump through these 2 sets of models. And then I will see you guys next time, whenever that ends up being. I'll announce on the Discord, obviously, so. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!